Yes, it's the Tums Classic. Introducing our 5 finalists. In our first match, we'll see Steve Wilson of Tamarack, Florida. He'll face two-time 1995 champion Dave DeAnterman of Middleburg Heights, Ohio. Next up is 5-time champion Danny Wiseman of Baltimore. Joining us in the semifinal game is two-time winner David Traber of Woodstock, Illinois. And our tournament leader is looking for his first PBA championship, Jack Jurek from Lackawanna, New York. That's our field for this afternoon's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast. It's the Tums Classic, live from Bradley Bowl in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, with a total purse of $140,000. Nelson Burton, the winner's share is big.
You're right, Chris. $25,000 up there on top, and we have all right-handers for a change this week, chasing that top prize. And the first match should be a very interesting one, Wilson and DeAnterman.
So it's an experienced bowler in the dark blue shirt and in orange. A likable, very talented young professional seeking that first championship. He's Steve Wilson.
One sidebar story, Chris. They tied for 4th and 5th place last night. DeAnterman won a 2-frame roll-off, so he gets to choose whether to start or not. He's forced Wilson to start the match.
Beautiful shot by the 26-year-old. 8 regional titles. Now, DeAnterman, who, like Jeff Stayrook, has 2 PBA victories this year, 4 total, can regain the money lead today. Powerful ball, though.
Well, Chris, he's been on a roll all year long, and he's always had the ability to be among the top players on the PBA Tour. And this is the first year he really put it all together, because when he's hot, he plays this big hook ball that we all know he's famous for. However, he's been able to survive to the top 5 many weeks by throwing it a little straighter during the 42-game qualifier. Today, it looks like he has his A shot. Takes the full grip, rolls that wrist back in a very contemporary way. The big guy can really do it.
So didn't trip the 4-pin on the left line of this championship pair in a house that has 44, magic number. 44 lanes, that is.
DeAnterman not making the same mistake that we see Ringeter last week. He's going a little bit more direct at the 4-pin. That was the undoing of Ringeter last week at the Bud Light tournament.
Dave sticking a little bit near the line.
Synthetic lanes, synthetic approaches this week. It's the wave of the future, and it's here on the tour. I believe more than 50% of the tournaments we bowl are now on synthetic lanes instead of wood.
Beautiful double by Steve Wilson. His best this year was 6th at Peoria.
This fella's really matured. He just has a nice, solid style. The only little chink in his arm is when he brings the ball back, he brings it in real good position, then he comes back out around a little bit with it. You see it over the top on that particular shot, really stayed inside well. And Chris, he keeps his hand under the ball much better than he did 2 or 3 years ago when he started the tour, and is definitely blossoming into a star.
10-pin?
We may see some 10-pins today. The pocket is very accessible. The lanes are very smooth. As you see him going out over the second arrow, the left-hand lane, 27, this 44-lane house, breaks a little bit more. Steve made a nice shot there, but the reason we leave a few 10-pins, the ball becomes a little bit airborne as it enters the pocket on the synthetic lanes.
The defending champion here, Harry Sullins, finished 12th here in 1995. DeAnterman preparing, winning in Peoria, and then the Choice Hotels Classic. And the challenge as well for another 25. 6'1", 215 pounds.
With all the good things that have happened to David this year, I think he looks sharper today in the early going, and I've seen him all year long despite 2 victories. So that could be a bit of a warning shot to these other players, although Wilson looks very cool in the early going.
Dave's 16th television appearance, 4th this year. Wilson is 3rd, 1st this year. first game, 1 pin separating these two pros. You know, about an hour southeast of Windsor Locks is Mystic, Connecticut, home of the Mystic Seaport Museum, which is dedicated to preserving America's maritime heritage. Standing room only at Bradley Bowl in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, our 22nd year. Coming here for great bowling. 5th year for the Tums Classic. Now leading by 1 pin, can increase it to 11. Double up, 5th frame. Steve Wilson, Tamarack, Florida.
Real good shot there, Chris. You know, he's staying behind the ball so well, and it really favors him, this type of championship here, as well as D'Entremont's bowling. D'Entremont may have trouble on the left-hand lane. I believe Wilson, with his little straighter style, will really have a better shot, even though he's the underdog in the match. And right now, with a strike here, he can take the lead by 9. 5th frame.
Actually trailing by 1 at this moment.
Almost got the messenger. Left a solid 10 in the 3rd. Makes a slight adjustment, sends the ball a little bit wide. Instead of breaking at about 45-foot mark towards the pocket, it goes down about 46, 47 feet. And he leaves that lonely old 10-pin over there. Used to be the hardest spare in bowling. Now the 7-pin is now the hardest spare.
Continues to mark. As we indicated, only his 3rd ever television appearance. Handling it very well.
And what I have to qualify on that spare, Chris, I mean his toughest single-pin spare. I think the reason the 7 is now the toughest is the proprietors, even the PBA, has a tendency to put a little bit more oil in the center of the lane. Elevates the scoring environment.
There's the spot. 11-pin lead by D'Entremont. Here's his style.
D'Entremont would just uses all 17 feet of the approach. He's kind of hanging off. But the key to D'Entremont is his good high backswing. And watch his wrist action. I believe he has one of the best wrist actions as it comes through this area, keeps that wrist cocked, and releases it on the upstroke. You don't want to throw it down in the lane. Much more knee bend than I've seen from him in the other years as he sets up perfectly here. Strikes in the 6th. He'll have a 21-pin lead.
His first 10-pin on the left lane.
3 10-pins on that lane. Reason being, the point that lane hooks a little bit more, even though they're synthetic lanes. The old wood surfaces, the cribbage, the underlying part of the lane still comes through with a little bit of characteristic. That lane still hooks more than it did than the other lane has for 20-some years.
And that was the voice of Nelson Burton Jr., who won here in not only 1974, but also 1975. Back-to-back bow.
Long time ago.
I don't know.
I think the money's already been spent, though.
Or invested. Ten on the right, his 3rd 10-pin.
Ouch. Awfully good shot. My daddy used to say when one round object hits another round object, they never react the same. Sherry a little bit disappointed. Looking very beautiful as usual there. Husband trails by 11 with a spare.
Just stayed up long enough to cover the 10-pin. Next Saturday on ABC Sports, Pro Bowlers Tour strikes out for Pennsylvania. We'll be back at the Convention Center. That's right, Arena Bowling in Erie, as defending champion Dennis Oren battles bowling's best in the Splitfire Spark Plug Open. That's next Saturday, 3 Eastern, right here on ABC Sports. Now an 8.
Wilson around the pocket every shot. 10-pin, 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 and now the 8-pin. He gives it room to accommodate that extra break on this lane. Doesn't quite come all the way back. Head pin slides behind the 8. Another easy spare with a conversion the 7th will trail the Big D by 12.
All right. Nearing the end of our first match, we'll return. But meantime, watch this. Visitors of the Mystic Seaport Museum are introduced to a life in a coastal community in settings like this ship carving shop. Here at Bradley Bowl in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, Dave DeEntremont leading by 12 pins. This is an area that used to be duck pins. The 10 pins came in the late 40s, and there are 44 of them here, and they're really used because there are a lot of bowling fans here. Right, Nelson?
You got it, Chris. As Big D comes up in the 7th frame, leading by 12.
Looking strong. Spare working, and that shot came in the 7th. Here's Bo again.
Thank you, Chris. Danny Wiseman, it's been 3 long years since you've been in the winner's circle, one of the great clutch players, but not being there for a long time, is that confidence still there, or is it gone?
Well, I think it's been there. It's just, going through a lot of the personal things that I've been through since my dad passed away. My mind hasn't been totally on bowling 100%, and I'm getting my life back together, and the confidence is coming back, so look out, guys.
A lot of money out there for you. You get to keep the whole paycheck this week, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm very happy with my performance this week, so we'll see what happens.
All right, Chris, it'll be in the next match. Back to you.
And Dave DeEntremont is really performing. That double puts him out to a 22-pin lead. Now Steve Wilson. He has a spare up in the 7th, shooting in the 8th. First match of the afternoon. A 7.
Well, the difference in this match so far has been the power of DeEntremont. All the players have been in the pocket, not a single ball out of the pocket, yet Steve Wilson with 3 10-pins, an 8-pin, the 7-pin has not been able to put together a string, and DeEntremont has snuck out to a 23-pin lead through 8, but it's not over yet. Wilson is a determined young man with a lot of talent.
Nice smile for the crowd and for his fiancée, Sherry Holden, who works with us a lot and is a delightful young lady from Florida.
She's a sweetheart. You know, the 5 players this week, Chris, the average age that they started bowling comes out to 5.6 years. Jurek, our leader, was started at 5, Traber at age 7, Wiseman 5, DeEntremont at 5, and Steve Wilson 6.
And what age did your Hall of Fame father start you? Well,
Chris, as we watch this replay, I had the luxury of starting with a duck pin ball at the age of 2. As you see the ball sliding by the head pin, he gets a good kick off the left sideboard, leaves the 2, easy spare, but he's in trouble through 9 frames. And Chris, I heard you mention a little bit about duck pins. Just to explain a little bit, a duck pin ball is much smaller than a regular bowling ball, and it only weighs 4 pounds. And I remember the late, great Ned Day giving me one for, I don't really remember it, I just used it for my 2nd birthday. The automatic pin setters, however, will not pick up the small balls, so everybody has to use the big one.
okay. That's 3 in a row as we remind you that tonight, a world premiere special event on the ABC family movie. Stephanie Zimbalist stars in an incredible adventure filmed against the breathtaking background of Kenya, the great elephant escape. Then, Jeff Fahey stars in an all-new episode of The Marshal. All tonight, ABC.
DeEntremont with a chance to take this off the sheet for $259.
So the 2-time winner this year, 4-time overall, is zeroed in for the afternoon.
Well, he just gave Steve Wilson no chance. Steve Wilson definitely acquitted himself well, but just couldn't carry. Had all the balls in the pocket up to the 9th frame. DeEntremont with 2 victories on his belt, close to $100,000 in his bankroll. 2 loose, 2 experienced for Wilson today. But Steve Wilson will be back as DeEntremont tries to finish with $259.
And Steve and Sherry will have $5,000 toward that house they hope to build. 5th place money here in the Tums Classic. $259. Dave DeEntremont.
Steve Wilson can finish with a 215 with 3 strikes. Will not be enough today, although a solid performance.
Pretty shot.
Nice guy, too. You could just feel it right through that television set. A little disgusted, but he ran into a buzzsaw right here. 259, D'Entremont on a roll. Wilson will have his day. His game looks sharper every time I see him, especially keeping his hand behind the ball. He's not trying to hook it too much, just getting a good roll.
10 pen for this 26-year-old who last year was second at Sayville. He was third in the AC Delco, sixth in Peoria this year. Last year he earned $45,000. Remember, he's seeking that first national title. So it's 259 to Steve Wilson's 205. This ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
ABC Sports coverage of the Professional Bowlers Tour, brought to you by Calcium-Rich Tums. Tums helps wipe out heartburn and gives you calcium. Split Fire, the patented performance spark plug. It only costs more until you use it. And Full View TV, offering up to 350 channels. Full View TV, the satellite system with the best view.
There you see, with 10 strikes, Dave D'Entremont, 259, Steve Wilson's 205 here at Bradley Bowl. I'm Chris Schenkel and Bo Burton, and it's good to come back here for the 22nd time.
Always been a good scoring environment, good people up here, and an interesting first match. It'd be interesting to see what Dave D'Entremont does in the next match. He's been a little bit inconsistent this week. He had one time he had 250, 150, 250 in round 3, so let's see if he can get it going against a real tough competitor, Danny Wiseman.
All right. Here's a handshake. D'Entremont polishing up that brown missile. 10 strikes in his big victory. It's on the left lane. Just beautiful, wasn't it? In that 1-3 pocket. Now, Danny Wiseman, wearing contacts now, trying to get things together, some personal problems, and he's doing a great job. Perfect with the slide. Danny Wiseman. So we're all even after one frame. It's a well-dressed crowd, isn't it? Won his first title in his hometown of Baltimore at a center once owned by the Colts legend, Johnny Unitas. And just as consistent as Johnny Unitas. You remember Dave D'Entremont had 10 strikes in his victory in the first game. He opened with his 11th of the afternoon, now shooting in the second game. Oh, yes. Oh, perfection.
You're right, Chris. So with me, Steve Wilson. Steve, you bowled very well against D'Entremont. He's red hot. However, the key looks like the left-hand lane. Both of you are a little off on that lane.
Yeah, the left-hand lane was a little tighter, forced us in a little bit, and got a little over-under there. And I made a good shot in the 8th, left the 2-pin. And I just had a little trouble with that lane, but I think I got a little too aggressive with the shots in the middle of the game.
Well, your game looks sharp. Good luck next week in Erie.
Thanks.
Back to you, Chris.
All right. So make it a 3-bagger. Opening with 3 after his big victory against Steve Wilson. Danny Wiseman, 27 years old, 5'10", 165 pounds. 4 national titles in 7 years. A PBA member. Best this year, 32nd in the Baltimore Open. It's a nice style, though, and he, too, has a 3-bagger.
You're right, Chris. It's a very oily style. It's a 4-step delivery with 4 pronounced long steps and then a real long slide. What I like most about his game, though, is how steady he is with his head. There's not much vertical movement in here. Watch the head come all the way through the area. The long slide, that is excellent form. And that's what we saw from Danny in the first 3 or 4 years out here on the tour. It looks like it's back, and he's a good guy. Still young, at only 27 years old. Both players perfect through 3.
Second 4 in a row in his first appearance this afternoon and this year for Danny Wiseman. Going to take a break and then we'll return. If you're visiting not too far away, Mystic Seaport Museum, you can explore gallery exhibits like these figureheads. All right. Dave DeEntremont, round of applause. He has 3 in a row. His opponent, Danny Wiseman, has 4 in a row. Second match, if you just joined us, Dave DeEntremont defeated Steve Wilson with 10 strikes, 259, 205. High hit, 3, 6, 10. Having some trouble with the approach. Bo?
Chris, well, it looks like he little sticks on the approach, but he's soft with this shot, and it breaks early. Avoids the 3, 6, 7, 10 split. Across lane, try to hit the 3 and 6. The ball take out the 10.
Chop the 3 and the 6. It's an open frame. Bo?
That was an ugly shot, Chris, and he's getting a lot of strikes, and nothing that happens. Now, the man who's in the semifinal position, though, however, is Dave Traber. And Dave, among the 5 players in the championship round, I don't know if you know it, you have the lowest average. You barely average 200 on that pair. These other guys, 240. Any adjustments you made going in this final game?
No, that doesn't matter. That's in the past. They're pretty nice today. It's almost the same condition as Baltimore, and hopefully I get the same results.
All right, he won 2 weeks ago in Baltimore, Chris, so he's anxious. Back to you.
Yes, he is, and DeEntremont bounces right back after an open with a strike in the 5th. Now, 4 in a row, Danny Wiseman shooting in the 5th frame. He, too, is checking the approach, using most of it now. Five-bagger for Danny Wiseman.
I'll tell you, you can watch Danny Wiseman even in a mirror, Chris. I've seen this player bowl left-handed, and he bowls identically left-handed and right-handed. He's only a few pins different. He has that real long flowing motion, and he's got a nice wrist action. Now watch how he plays the lanes. He's actually dead perfect for this pair, and the key is his wrist action. He's in this area. He's going to be right around the 2nd and 3rd arrow. Pretty straight approach. That long slide. He's trying to hit a target here. He's perfect through 5. Let's watch this.
He's halfway for a Tums $100,000 bonus for a perfect game.
Point, he gets a real good break on 27 as he trips his 2nd 4-pin on that lane. A big difference when you get all the carrying going for you. DeEntremont dangerous when he's behind, and he needs some strikes.
So that double helps.
The Big D bowls a little different style than his opponent, Danny Wiseman. Dave always looks for the swing area. He really doesn't look for the hold area where the ball's set in the pocket. He wants to get it down there, trust it to the right, and flip it back to the pocket with 6-7 degree of angle. He's done it very well every shot this game except that disastrous 4th frame.
It'd be 7-10.
Well, he goes too deep. You know, we talk about a 45 feet down the lane, the ball breaking to the hole. Dave sends it out there, gets it back about 48 feet, and right now he's in real trouble as he needs to get either the bounce the 7 or the 10 out. As you see, one of the greatest of all times was the first to ever do it on national television, Mark Roth, more than a decade ago. DeEntremont's trying the same style. Woo, pretty close.
Second open frame now for the winner of the first game, Dave DeEntremont, and he trails by 49. Now with 6 in a row, shooting in the 7th frame. Five to go.
Well, Chris, he's making up for lost time. A 3-year hiatus from the championship round, due a little bit to financial problems, personal problems, are all behind him, and he looks sharp as ever, and even more determined. Sometimes, and it looks in Danny's case, you come back stronger than ever from a little bit of disaster in your life, and he's sharp here. First 7.
9th appearance on television. 13-4, 226 average.
Boy, that is something. That speaks very highly.
So the string ends at 7. Another pesky 10-pin on the left lane.
Pretty good shot. Gave himself a chance. He's had a lot of good carrying things happen. He's a little bit disturbed by a still photographer from one of the local areas walking down the lane. Although this spare should be easy for Danny, he has this match well in hand. Even if he'd happen to slip by this 10-pin, he has a 58-pin lead with a conversion. Going at a 2:59 pace, the best D'Entremont can do is 2:31.
We're in our second match of the afternoon, and we'll return with more of it following this. For the first time in his career, he is the tournament leader, Jack Jurek of Lackawanna, New York, a world amateur champion, looking for his first national title. So he has only one game to bowl for the top prize. Now D'Entremont shooting in the 8th frame, trailing by 58.
Well, D'Entremont has bowled so well today on almost every shot except the 4th frame and the 7th frame. In this game, he actually got a bad break as he left a swishing 7-10. But at this level, there's not much margin for error. If he doesn't strike here, it is all she wrote. The Big D has an outside chance if he can take it off the sheet for 231, as you see him using the full approach.
D'Entremont needed $5,695 to tie for the money lead at $99,710.
Well, Chris, if Danny Wiseman gets a mark in either one of the next 2 frames, what will D'Entremont get for 4th place? Because that's where he's
$6,000.
Sounded like pretty good to me.
He'll take the lead. Secondary in his thoughts, however. He wanted to continue. But he met a man, Danny Wiseman, with 7 in a row, a spare and a strike now in the 9th for Danny.
The margin of victory is the only thing to be determined here. Wiseman, match in hand, can post a 279 with 3 more strikes. Ain't so bad.
Imagine that one spare and the rest strikes for Danny Wiseman.
Well, he's playing the lanes just perfect for the oiling pattern that's out there. The oil is down 36 feet from the foul line, 24 feet of break, synthetic lanes. But the history of this house is you can hook it a little bit and you can throw it straight, but the best is that tweener shot, which he has. A little bit of hook, a little bit of power, more importantly, a strong, heavy roll. He's done it to perfection, except for one shot this game.
And his opponent, Dave D'Entremont, in the first game had 10 strikes with his victory over Steve Wilson.
The way Danny's ball is rolling, it's really the benchmark for a perfect ball. I mean, he's got about a 6-board break. You watch it go through the pins. It hits the 1, 3, 5, and 9. Every pin does its job. 10 in the pit. Pretty to watch.
He matches his high of the week, 279. This week, Choice Hotels Tip of the Week features my partner, Bo, and his thoughts about positive side weights.
ABC Sports presents a winning never gets old bowling tip. Brought to you by Quality, Comfort, Clarion, and Sleep Hotels.
As we get older, we can't crank that bowling ball like we used to. However, there's a drilling technique that'll help us get back some of that hook and drive. Now let's look at a normal drilling. The holes are drilled right on the center of the bowling ball, and the bowling ball weighs an equal amount on both sides. This will give you a nice even roll down the lane, but not quite the finish and power to really mix those pins. Now a normal drilling, as I said, is right on the center of the label. Both sides of the ball weigh exactly the same, and I get a medium hook. Now if I want more hook, we can go with positive weight. That's where the label is drilled slightly off to the right, making the left side of the bowling ball, that's the side rolling towards the pins as you go down the lane, weigh at least 1 ounce more than the other side of the ball. That allows it to break much sharper and increase the pin action. So if you're looking to get back some of that power and drive, see your pro shop operator and he can drill you a bowling ball with positive weight. Remember, winning never gets old.
Ah, yes, here in Windsor, Connecticut, a winner in Baltimore this year, David Traber steps in to go against red-hot Danny Wiseman in the semifinal match. Jack Jurek is the tournament leader, waiting till our next game is completed. Red Burnham, one of our all-time favorite general managers of any bowling establishment.
Good guy, Chris. He's been around here all the years that I've known him and always hosts a great tournament. And we'll take a look at the field this week. 165 players, overall average 205, 219 in top 24. Furpo having a good winner. Mark Williams, Rojo, Moser, steady as ever. Harry the Legend Sullen says hi to his fiancée Stacy. Mark McDowell on the comeback. Butch Super Soper in there. Tim Chris, that's a name you'll hear more of. Big Bill Swanson. The Quaker State man, Steve Hoskins, the Big D, Dennis Jakes, along with Eric Forkel, Beasley, the Dreamer in 23rd. Mike Scroggins is 25th because Mike had to drop out and Wishner went in and fulfilled the last 4 games for him, Chris. Solid finish.
Arena action next week. Split Fire Spark Plug Open in Erie, Pennsylvania. That's where we started it on our telecasts. And then the United States Open from Detroit, Michigan, the Joe Louis Arena. 7,000 expected for that one.
Well, Chris, and remember the Split Fire last year, arena bowling, so it's 3 out of the next 4 weeks arena bowling. The only time we will not be in arena will be up at the Toronto tournament for the Children's Miracles Network. Now a man who won his national championship last year, Dave Traber.
Breaks up the 7-10. And Bo, when he won that, he defeated his brother, Dale, in the finals.
First time that's ever happened. I had my brother defeat me in the semifinals for the Masters Championship in 1980. He went on to defeat Mark Roth, but we have never bowled for a title. My brother eligible for the Hall of Fame in the American Bowling Congress next year.
All right, that was a nice cross-line shot for the 7-pin. And David Traber has that first frame out of the way, whereas Danny Wiseman, look at that, 279, 218. Starting all over, semifinal match.
Well, he's known for when he gets on a roll, just spanking everybody out there. The first time he ever bowled in the championship round, he just ran the table against all 4 players in his hometown in Baltimore for his first victory. And he's showing that he can maintain the pace and the consistency and the concentration as he starts off his second game with a strike.
Not a good shot.
No, he pays a penalty for the first ball that's out of the pocket. He has a little less speed on the lane. We said it has a chance to jump. He cuts right through the middle, and he leaves the 3-4, 6-10, kind of an unusual split. But the key to making this for Danny is to get the ball over in the 3-6 zone and drive that pin over into the 4. Tough shot.
Beautifully done.
Boy, he nailed it center to center. There was no doubt about that. The center of the 3-pin hit the center of the 4. The ball did the rest. Watch this. Perfect technique, perfect angle. Now watch how neatly he makes it. There's never a doubt. Boom.
David Traber of Woodstock, Illinois, is 32 years old. All 30 tournaments last year, this man bowled. All 11 this year. In other words, 67 consecutive tournaments.
The record by the defending champion here in this tournament, as we look at Danny Wiseman, is Harry Sullins, 239 in a row.
Nice mixer, getting his double, and out to a 10-pin lead, Bo.
Well, championship here, the players have averaged 240, quite a high-scoring environment after 2 matches, and it doesn't look like it's going to slow down at any time today, so it behooves the players to throw strikes. Spares will not get the job done.
A 10 on the right lane.
Not much Danny can do about it. I said sometimes on synthetic lanes the ball gets a little bit airborne, and right here the ball bounces a little bit. 6 goes around the 10. Can't be helped. Part of the sport.
Danny's shot at the telecast was nearly ruined when his best scoring ball this week was accidentally sold. The PBA locker room employees mistakenly resold the ball instead of polishing it. But he tracked it down and got it back, Nelson.
Well, for Dave D'Intermont, they got it back too quickly.
Yes.
As he had to suffer through a defeat by Danny Wiseman with 270 in his first game, strike and 2 spares this game.
A 4.
Danny just a little high on the left-hand lane. As we know in the sport of bowling, as you bowl on lanes, they begin to hook a little bit more, and so he's drifted high in the second frame, had the 3-4-6-10 split, which he converted. Now he has a 4-pin, needs to make an adjustment, either with his speed a little bit farther, a little bit more loft on the ball, or a slight move to the left on the approach. All 3 will work.
Okay, a close game here in the semifinal. We're at Bradley Bowl in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. America's last surviving wooden whaling ship can be found at the Mystic Seaport Museum. It's the Charles W. Morgan. David Traber, at whom you're looking, is from Woodstock, Illinois. He has a 12-pin lead over Danny Wiseman. Double up, 4th frame. Now he leads by 22 pins, national champion of the PBA. And as we indicated, he won in Baltimore here in 1995. He had one of the 3 300 games here this week.
Kind of a muscle style in his game, Chris. He gets to the top of the backswing and just kind of opens
Randy Peterson.
And just fires through. He just uses speed as his main control, kind of stiff-legged at the leg, but he's done it to perfection, except for 1 frame. This game leads by 22.
Okay, Bo.
All right, with me, the Big D. When everything went your way the first game, then it kind of came unglued the second game. What happened out there, pal?
Well, actually, the first game I was kind of fighting the feel in the ball. I didn't really have a comfortable feel, and consequently, I was going a little slower to the line with my feet. In between games, I put a piece of tape in, got a real good snug feel, and when I tried to go to line a little more aggressively, I kind of lost my footing a couple shots. So it was a good week.
You're solid. What's the tougher of the 2 lanes, you feel?
I had the left lane hooking a little bit more, and I think Danny's finding that out too right now. Right now, probably the left lane.
All right, pal. Good luck next week at the split fire. Back to you, Chris.
Okay, Danny Wiseman with a strike in the 5th frame. Still trails by 32 pins, can cut it, though, as he moves to the left lane in the 6th frame. The winner will meet our tournament leader, Jack Jurek, of Lackawanna, New York, near Buffalo. Taking his time. And it helps, pays off, cuts the lead to 22. Traber back up now, and he has 4 in a row, shooting in the 6th frame. Very solid. 5-bagger, Bo.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. Traber looks sharp, but with me is Jack Jurek, our tournament leader. Jack, you got all the experience in the world in college, mostly as a team player. Have you ever been in a position where you had to bowl one game as an individual like you have to do today to win a title?
Not anything like this, Bo. This is going to be a first for me. I'm hoping that some of the college experience I had pays off. This may be the one shot I'm going to take my best one.
Well, you'll be back more often, but good luck today. Back to you, Chris.
David Traber. 6 in a row for David Traber. And he takes a 42-pin lead here in Windsor Locks. The Mystic Seaport Museum offers more than just a spectacular waterfront collection of ships. It also offers village town exhibits. We're nearing the end of the semifinal game here in the 5th Tums Classic at Bradley Bowl. Danny Wiseman, a native of Baltimore, has a double up, trailing by 42 against David Traber. Another 10 on the right lane.
Boy, he wanted that shot, too. A key shot. Key shot. Danny Wiseman, who is very deliberate, we're told, took more than the allotted 25 seconds to get that shot off. He will pay a $100 fine. If it happens any other times in this game, it will cost him $1,000. However, he'd rather have that 10-pin, as that was a key shot. He now trails by 43. He could have cut that lead down to 32 with that strike. The Pro Bowlers Association allows a player to be more explicit about this. 25 seconds from the time you pick up the ball or it comes back from return. Now Danny has 25 seconds from the time he reached down and picked up that ball to start his approach to the foul. There you go.
Coming up next on ABC Sports, the ladies hit the links in the LPGA's first major of the year. The tour's top players drive for a title at the Nabisco Dinah Shore. Our coverage begins, ABC, next, right here. Two, 4, 5.
Dave just throws it through the break there. And really, if you're going to make a mistake, that's what you need to do. You can't pull the ball on the professional bowlers tour and make a living. Now, to get this spare, he needs to get right over here in the 2-5 zone, let the ball take out the 2 and the 5. The pin will take out the 4. Just to finish that up, you just cannot pull the ball left the target or reduce your speed or decelerate your arm swing, as wife Melissa looks on the Pro Bowlers Tour. There's too many great players out here, and you give them a little mistake like that, pulling the ball, you'll always pay a penalty. You have a little bit of a chance if you hit light, as Traber did with a spare. Right now, he is going at a 247 pace. The best Wiseman can do is 237.
Ninth frame shot, 248.
A little tougher shot here. You got to take out the 8-pin. You don't have to worry about the chop of the 2 off the 5, but the 8-pin is a much more formidable foe. You see him throwing the ball right between the first and second arrow. Head pin goes to sideboard, next the 5-pin out. What he needs to do here is hit the 2-pin dead on. The ball will take out the 2 and 8. The pin will take out the 4. Perfect.
Next Saturday, ABC Sports, the Pennzoil Flies, the Professional Bowlers Tour, rolls into Erie, PA. Defending champion Dennis Horan battles bowling's big guns on special lanes set up at the Erie Convention Center, as it was last year. It's the Splitfire Spark Plug Open. Next Saturday at 3 Eastern, ABC Sports.
Danny Wiseman cannot win this match if he doesn't strike on the next 2 balls.
There's one.
Maintains his form all the way through the shot. Had a little heel stick on the foul line, but it had enough good things going in his approach to save the shot, buried it solid in the hole, and he's kept himself in a position to win the match. If he strikes out, he'll be 237. That would force Dave Traber to get a decent count and mark in the 10th. Once again, if Wiseman doesn't strike on this ball, it'll be Traber against Jurek for the championship. As I said earlier, Chris, he needs another strike to force Traber to mark. Pretty simple. Boy, he sure bowled well, too. I tell you, his ball is just going down there perfect. Only mistake he's made in 2 games is in the second frame, and he converted the split. It's where you get the big strings. Traber's had the big string. 6 in a row in the middle of the match. Depending on Wiseman gets on this last ball, it would force Dave Traber to get a mark. Depending how much he gets, how big a mark Traber needs.
Loser of the game will leave with $7,500. Winner moves to the final. 25 to the winners, 13,000. Runner-up. Danny has to be pleased.
Oh, Chris, yeah, you're right. He bowls well as he rips the rack. The solid 10 in the 7th frame where he actually could have locked up Dave Traber. For Traber, all he needs a mark of any kind, a spare or a strike, and he goes on to the final. An open frame, Wiseman wins. Boy, that's where they live, partner.
Really made sure. We're winning in Baltimore this year. Last year, the PBA National Champion.
Dave Traber is going to keep a record intact that he's had his whole career, and is basically this. Whoever beats Traber wins the tournament. So if he happens to lose the championship game, obviously Jurek wins. All the rest of the time, Traber has gone on to win the title. 244 with a spare, that's enough.
Big scores today, 259, 274, 237, and a possible 244. So that's what it is. It is Jurek and Traber for all the money. This ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message and a word from our ABC station. Let's recap what has happened here at the Tums Classic. Big first game for Dave d'Entremont of Ohio, 259 to 205. He had 10 strikes in that victory, but then Danny Wiseman, just tremendously smooth today, shot a 279 to Dave's 218. Then David Traber defeated Wiseman 244 to 237. So now it's Traber going into that final game against Jack Jurek, who is yet to win a national title. Best finish this year was 104th last week. It's only his 4th tournament of the year, but he's a former world amateur champion, so look out. Jack Jurek and Dave Traber. Nelson?
Chris, Danny Wiseman, you have to be pleased with your performance. After 3 years off, you really acquitted yourself well.
Well, for the first time in 3 years, making a show and performing like that, I'm very pleased. I had nothing to lose, everything to gain, and this is just the beginning. So I'm just so happy with myself.
Big scores this last game?
Absolutely. They're getting pretty sweet out there, so it's going to be high scoring.
All right, Danny, thank you. Good luck the rest of the season, and back to you, Chris, the championship game.
That's right, a pat on the back to Danny. And now Jack Jurek in a maroon shirt, multicolored shirt for David Traber. He shot that big 244 with 7 strikes. Left line first shot. And he'll take it. Strike for Traber. Now, here he is. 31 years old, 5'9", 170 pounds. From Lackawanna, New York. That's near Buffalo. First time as a leading qualifier.
Pretty nice opening shot. Never has been in this position before. As you just see, a nice, smooth style. You can see that there's been a lot of coaching in his career. He has a good upright stance. Everything in good position. Drives straight through. Not much vertical movement with his head. And goes directly to target with a solid foundation at the line.
Jurek. Bowled for West Texas State University with former president of the PBA, Mark McDowell. He won the World Cup in Sydney, Australia, won the gold medal, the FIQ, in Bogota, Colombia in 1985.
Two-time college All-American.
He's well schooled in this game of bowling.
Well, when you have the fundamentals and you start at the age of 5, as he did, and has good coaching and obviously the God-given ability, you can't do it without that, you're going to get a lot out of your game as he's going against a man who can throw his hat in the ring as one of the leading contenders for the early player of the year, Dave Traber, if he can win.
Oh, yes. What do you call that, Nelson?
Well, it's the Chris Schenkel Scout, but I prefer, as a little bit of a purist bowler, as saying that was a technology strike. That ball should not strike on that hit. Sorry, folks, but it might be fun at home, but that's not the way to put the luck in the sport of pro bowling. The Scout's okay at the amateur level, but Traber has to take it. We all play by the same rules as he opens up a 10-pin lead.
Third frame. A 7.
However, there is reciprocity in this sport.
Yes.
He should have carried that one, so tit for tat. Now let's see how he attacks this 7-pin, especially the synthetic lanes. You need to have at least a 45-degree angle across the center of the lane to cut across the oil. That's more like it. Phil Ringener would like that shot right there. That's a good lesson to learn.
Right.
You got to cross that center oil at least a 45-degree angle to get a dependable result in making the left-hand corner spares.
Important double for Jack Jurek here in the championship match. 25 to the winner, 13 to the runner-up.
Guy's a good all-around athlete, Chris. As you said, he was on a partial scholarship for college for 4 years for bowling and played baseball in high school, 300 hitter, all-conference second baseman. As you look at his grip, he used to have a shorter grip, a 3/4 grip, where he put the ball fingers almost into the second knuckle. Now he calls this a relaxed fingertip or relaxable grip. Uses that index finger for balance, and here he goes for 3 in a row.
And gets and leaves the 3-6-10.
Just tugged it. Gets a little anxious at the line. Doesn't want to trust the ball to right. Pulls it about a board or two left to target, the 3-6-10. And this can be a tough spare.
All right, we're nearing the halfway point of the championship match in the Tums Classic. And we'll be back. Today's Tums Classic Championship trophy is on board the Joseph Conrad, docked at Mystic Seaport Museum. Preparing now on the right approach, right lane. David Traber leading by 2. Loves that right lane.
Well, and he was very emphatic about it. He said 2, and he got the love tap over in that right-hand corner on the 10-pin twice, and that is really the differential on the match. He has a 2-pin lead, and the key has been carrying the 10-pin and the 7-pin. We've had almost a dozen 10-pins left today, and it's basically you can hit the pocket, the ball's sliding a little bit, and every once in a while to get airborne. You can't lose contact with the lane surface. It happens every once in a while on all bowling lanes and sometimes causes a 10. Now, Traber can open up a 12-pin lead.
So it's a 2. And speaking of 2, a replay first.
Okay, Chris, he just throws it through the break again. David being very careful not to go high and get a split. Leaves the 2-pin, gets away with an easy spare. Partner?
Well, I'm looking forward to two events coming up. The Split-Fire Spark Plug Open at the Erie Civic Center. 4,000 maybe there. And then the next week, the U.S. Open at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. I've done championship fights there, but never a bowling championship.
All right, defending champion Justin Romek, U.S. Open.
Nice. Keeping pace. This 31-year-old, 5'9", 170-pounder.
Can definitely throw it better than that.
A little self-inspiration. If you can throw it a little poor like that and still get a strike, you're in pretty good shape there, Jack Jurek. You can take the lead with a strike. 6th frame.
Took the tournament lead on Thursday and hung on to it. That's a Jack O'Hara shot, our executive producer. He joined us this week again as we look at Jerry and Eileen Jurek, Jack's mom and dad.
Boy, were they nervous before the championship round, and they're so proud of their son, win or lose. Nice, nice people.
David Traber from Woodstock, Illinois. Melissa.
Strike here, Traber retakes the lead.
There you go.
All right. Open with a double, spare, strike, spare, double. David Traber.
Close match so far, and the average winning score over 22 years, Chris, has been 27-pin differential between the winner and the loser. So for the first time in a number of years, we've had a tight championship match, with it going back and forth, back and forth.
That's a 3-bagger for Jack Jurek, taking an 8-pin lead.
You know, I asked Jack before the telecast, and I've seen him bowl some and heard about him in college, and he's been around the tour some, what he feels he does best. And I loved his answer, Chris. He says, I never, ever quit.
Jack owns a pro shop in Williamsville, New York.
Pinched it just a little.
And as you heard him doing his own commentary, I pinched it a little bit. That means he just squeezed it a little bit at the point of release. You want to keep that ball pressure on your hand as smooth and as consistent as possible. He tried to hit it a little too much, drifted high, left to 4.
Jack, of course, wired for sound, as we call it, with that wireless tiny mic. And you've heard him occasionally. It's up to the bowler whether he wants to use it or not. Traber chose not to. And that puts him up by 3 pins with the 3-bagger.
Back and forth, back and forth. We expected some tight matches all day today. That has not come to fruition as we've had some mismatches and some high scores, with the TV championship pair yielding a 240 average after 6 games. And right now, both players are locked heads up with only a 3-pin differential, 2 frames left for the title. And remember, Jurek has never had a trip to the Brunswick Tournament of Champions.
a 10-pin. As usual, conducting this event, Johnny Campos, tournament director, Kevin Shipping, our coordinator, and David Schroeder.
A little different commentary from one player to the other. Dave Traber tells himself, I can't throw it any better. Obviously could have gotten a better result.
So that was the spare in the 9th frame for Traber. Spare up for Jurek. He'll be shooting in the 9th now.
What Jack Jurek has a chance to do, and he's never been in a position like this before, is throw a strike in the 9th and the first 2 strikes in the 10th and lock up Dave Traber. Shut him out sitting on the bench. See what happens.
Played its own little song, those pins down there.
Boy, you have good ears there, Chris Schenkel. I just noticed how those pins went off standing up. The old great Andy Verapapa says when you're really hitting them good, they go off standing up and they don't turn perpendicular to the lane surface. He knocked them off standing up in the 9th. He needs 2 strikes and 3 for his first title. Let's see what happens.
It's pumping. Watch this reaction. You heard his voice.
I can't believe this happened to me.
Here it comes. One shot for the title. A man with a Bachelor of Science degree in computer information knows he needs 1 strike and 3 pins to lock it up. Here it goes. Here's what that leaves. An opening for Dave Traber.
At least I didn't yank it for a change.
Giving himself a little pep talk. He said, I didn't yank it. Maybe in previous poor experiences in the clutch, he pulled the ball through the nose, looked at the scoreboard. The spare is almost a mute point. What Traber is going to need is at least 2 strikes to win the title, and then a short count. Let's see what happens with the spare. That pin doesn't mean very much, Chris. What that does is made Dave Traber need 2 strikes and 4. Remember Traber's victory in Baltimore. He stood up against Walter Ray Williams Jr. threw clutch strikes in the 10th frame to win, and then 3 strikes in the 10th to nose out Eric Forkel. Once again, he needs a strike on the next 2 balls and 5 pins for the title.
Okay.
Boy, he trusted it. 42 games, 5 days. Dave Traber looking for his 3rd title. Needs 1 more strike and 5 pins.
Our cast today, 2 young bowlers, Steve Wilson, Jack Jurek, 2 veterans, David Traber, to whom you're looking, and earlier Dave D'Entremont.
Make that a strike and 4 pin. The strike is the first thing.
And Danny Wiseman, of course.
The game is over. Jack Jurek wins. Sitting on the bench, a good shot by Traber. Doesn't get the kick on the 7. Jack Jurek paid his dues in college, and he's earned it here as a pro.
Parents standing, crowd cheering.
Yes, baby. Congratulations, Jack. All right, we got to talk now, okay? Woo!
Traber likes it at this point. 5 goes sailing over. Actually, the head pin comes back and shortcuts it, clips it from behind. It doesn't take out the 7. Jurek takes the title.
Okay, hugs all around the Jurek family. 231 to 228. Another thriller. We'll be back with a 231 to Dave Traber's 228. Jack Jurek, champion professionally for the first time as a world amateur champion, now a pro.
It feels like it's been forever since I was a world champion, but man, there is nothing that can top this right now.
You had some anxious moments in that last game?
I had some very anxious moments, and if anybody has some Tums right now, I could sure use one.
Better luck. The new spokesman for Tums is Jack Jurek. Right, Billy Jensen? Let's get a check here to Jack. And
Congratulations.
Thank you very
Your
much.
first win ever.
Thank you very much.
Great job.
Thank you.
Billy's territory manager. Ken West has promoted this tournament for years and years, and nobody does it better. Holds the trophy pretty well.
Thank you, Chris. Jack, on behalf of the fans in New England, my wife Sonia and myself, I want to thank you and welcome you as our champion. You're a fine gentleman, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
Jack, you had 3 people that drove many miles and hours to watch you.
Yeah, my family's been very supportive. My girlfriend Sue, she's been great. My cousin and my aunt are here too, so they've followed me for a long time, and it's great to see them here.
This gives you that impetus to do more than 4 a year, right?
Yeah, I think I might have to consider a few more. It's nice that the Brunswick World Tournament Champions is starting this year, and I'm gonna get a try at the inaugural. It's a great feeling.
Your style is so beautiful to watch. There are a lot of viewers, I'm sure, going to try and copy it.
I hope so. I've worked really hard to try and get there, and things have fallen into place this week, and it's a great feeling.
Thank you, Billy. Ken. Goodbye to all of you from Nelson Burton Jr. and our entire ABC crew. See you in